Have you ever heard people say things like you need to be super fluent in French to pass TEF, or you don't need to study the reading and writing section, just focus on listening and speaking? Well, I'm here to tell you that those are some straight up myths. Salyu, I'm Akshara and I cleared the TEF Canada exam from scratch in 13 months, and I have created this channel to talk all things about the French language, TEF TCF Canada exam, and the Canadian immigration through French proficiency. In today's video, we'll be busting 5 of the biggest myths about the TEF Canada exam that could actually be holding you back from your dream score. Make sure to stick around until the very end because I'm also dropping some bonus tips to help you crush every single section of the test. Before we get started with the video, make sure that you're subscribed to my channel and have the bell notifications on so you don't miss out any of my future videos. Also, if you're looking for any specific guidance regarding French, you can schedule a free session with me. I will leave the link in the description below. And with that, let's dive right into the video. Okay, let's start with the biggest myth out there. You need to be fluent in French to pass the TEF Canada or the TCF Canada exam. This is probably one of the scariest myths that I hear, and I completely understand why. You're taking a French exam at the end of the day, so it feels like the fluency is an absolute must, right? Wrong. The TEF or TCF Canada exam isn't about perfect fluency. What the test really exams is the ability for you to communicate effectively. Sure, fluency does help, but it's not like it's the be all and the end all, right? You're not being graded on whether you sound like a Parisian or a French native speaker. You're being tested on whether you can express an idea, manage daily conversations, you're able to understand what the other person is saying, and just the general context of what is happening. Many people pass this exam with intermediate skills, including me. I think I would say that because focusing on building the right vocabulary, practicing the most used phrases, having a structure of a conversation, that is what is the most important skill here, right? Things like using the right connector, having a fluency of the whole structure is what I would say is more important than actually having like a super speed of talking or actually sounding like a French speaker. Here's the key. Focus on functional fluency. Being able to get your point across, even if you're making mistakes, is okay, and that's what is most important. And I think while I was preparing for the exam, this is the most important thing that I focused on. And along with this, what is more important is your clarity of conversation, like your speech, and also the confidence with the way that you are able to present your information. Next up, myth number 2. Only listening and speaking matter. Now, this one is super common. People often think that because speaking and listening are what we usually use in daily life, that's all that matters in the exam as well. And that's what always people focus a lot on. But this is a major misconception. In fact, the reading and writing section also carry the same amount of, weight and points just as much as the other two, and neglecting them could also end up costing you a lot, because at the end of the day you need to score an NCLC 7 in all of the 4 sections, and it's very important that you progress in all of these 4 sections in a very holistic manner, because focusing on one particular section can be quite disastrous. But again, if you're focusing on one section, that also essentially means that you are improving your in other sections as well. Like for example, if you're focusing specifically on listening, that essentially means that somewhere even your speaking is getting improved. That means you're building vocabulary and you can do your reading section better, and if you have the vocabulary and sentence structure and grammatical knowledge, you can also write better. So these things are super interrelated, and it's really important for you to make sure that you are progressing in all of the 4 sections and not paying specific attention to just one of the section, because at the end of the day, even if you clear like 3 sections, and if you even fail to score like 1 point lesser, what happens? You will not clear the exam and you'll have to redo the exam. So it's very important that you are paying attention to all of these 4 sections. Take reading section for example. This isn't just understanding about what is written, but it's also about how it is written, like the tone, purpose, context, because the questions are not going to be always very direct. There are some nuanced questions as as well as, the complexity increases. And more than straight contextual, more than straight answers, they ask you also for like underlying context, what is the meaning, and things like that. So it's very important that you focus on all of the four sections. And don't even get me started on the writing section. It's like the most important section where you are able to show off your ability to structure your thoughts in French. And if you think you can just wing it, believe me, think again, because this is more than just writing words. It's also about how your ideas are presented. Are they clear, coherent? What is the grammatical structure of it? There's just so much to it. And the only way that, you can excel at writing is by writing itself. You need a hell lot of practice when it comes to writing, and please do not procrastinate. I can understand that writing can be really tricky to, sit yourself down and, get yourself to write. But believe me, that is going to pay off, because it's very easy to procrastinate with writing. Every other section, there's like an external thing that is pushing you. Like, for example, if you have to practice listening, you're listening to an audio. If you have to read something, you're reading. But the thing with writing is you have to take a pen and paper and, actually pen down your things, right? So it can be a little tough to begin with, but please make sure that you're not neglecting any of these sections. All of these four sections are super important, and just don't take any of the section for granted, not even reading. So one of the actionable tip that I can give for the reading is the one of my favorite strategies is basically to break down, like to pick up any newspaper article or any of the passage and break them down into smaller chunks and basically summarize them. Or what I like to do is, for building my vocabulary, I pick out all of the words that are pretty hard or anything that is new, or I feel like these keep commonly repeating. I note them down and then I write those meanings in English, and so on and so forth. And for writing, I practice by writing. Like I said, you have to write a lot, whatever that is, be it like short essays on familiar topics, or pick something out, or try to like probably read something and try to summarize that in your own words and things like that. So that's how you pretty much go about for those two sections. Now let's talk about the myth number 3, which I hear a lot, is give me a list of vocabulary, I will memorize it. You can just memorize vocabulary lists. I really doubt that in action. Now, I'm not saying that vocabulary isn't important. It of course is, but I don't think that you can just memorize a bunch of words and be done with it and, apply them in the exam. TEF isn't really about how many fancy words you can cram into your brain. It's all about how well you use those actual words that you have picked up in real life situations. In this case, in the exam situation. What you really need to focus is on contextual usage. For example, instead of just memorizing 50 words about food, or like list of animals and things like that, practice those in using in sentences. That's when you actually are able to understand what is the use of this particular word. For example, instead of just writing all the food, of course, maybe the first step of it can be like you can make a list of vocabulary, but it's very important that you also know where are these words being used. Like, for example, if you are able to learn the new word legume, I would say, make a sentence. Je vais au marché pour acheter des légumes frais. Ou pour acheter les légumes comme ci, comme ça. You'll retain so much more by using the language actively rather than just cramming some random lists, right? So it's very important that you have these words and you're able to utilize them somewhere. So that way, even when you are, let's say, for example, speaking or writing, you are able to use those words to actually put it into action. Otherwise, what is the point if you just have like a vocabulary bank in your mind which never shows up? So yeah. Here's what you should do. Focus on phrases and expressions that are pretty much common in everyday life and also in the context of the TEF and TCF Canada exam. Make sure how you can and when you can use them. This way, when you're in the exam, you can also pull them out right at the moment. Like, if there's anything particular about the vegetable context, then you can use all of those lists of words. So that's how it pretty much goes. Next myth is French is a hard language. Oh, I cannot tell you how wrong you are on this one, because we all think that French is a really hard language just because it's a foreign language. Let me tell you something. It really isn't, because French and English is originated from the same mother language, which is the Latin language. And I truly believe that about 25 to 30% of the words in French and English are pretty much the same. It's just that the way they are pronounced are different. And on top of that, the script for English and French is exactly the same. All the words that you typically read in French or in English are the same, right? So for example, there are, I would say, like I said, 25-30% of the words are actually the same. It's just that the way they are pronounced is different. Like, for example, information in French is information in English, or action in French is action in English, right? There are a lot of words. So there are a lot of jokes around it where, people say that if you're not able to think of the word in French, just think of the same word in English and add a French accent to it, and more often than not, it's actually the same thing. Well, I don't know if that really works, but during my learning journey as well, I used to do that. If I couldn't if I didn't know a word in French, I would just think of the word in English and, add the French accent to it and say. Sometimes it works, but mostly it doesn't. So don't really rely on that. But all in all, the point of this is French really isn't a hard language as you can compare it to, let's say, like a Korean language or German, even, because the script is similar, and you will pretty soon catch on to it, and you will be able to sort of sail through the language. Now, for the myth number 5, there aren't enough resources available for TEF. This is something that I hear a lot, and honestly, I get it, because this is exactly something that I thought as well when I was preparing for my exam. I faced the exact same challenge, because I felt like there were only very few and a lot of scattered resources, which took me a lot of time, energy to sort of piece it together and also utilize it in the right way possible. But here's the thing. It's not that there aren't enough resources available, it's just that it's not very conveniently packaged. You have to put in a lot of time, energy, and all of those things to bring it in together. I had to dig deep so much into so many different websites, books, practice tests, and so many different resources to put all of it together. But guess what? You don't have to go through all of those same struggles, because I've done the hard work for you. So I have created this channel to bring all of these resources together and share all of my personal experiences with you at every step, right? So I know the specific challenges and gaps because I've been through it all. I've curated these study tips, exam techniques, and guidance in all in one place. This way, you don't have to waste your time and also a lot of energy in hunting the right materials. You can solely focus on, building your language and getting the study part done. And hey, if you need super specific guidance or a lot of support when it comes to the test specific preparation, you can definitely reach out to me directly, and I'm here to help you navigate through this journey, because I've been through it and I know how hard of a journey it is, and I can completely relate to all of the struggle. So take advantage of all of the resources that I've put together, and use your time wisely. Don't spend it on stressing out about where do I find these materials and all of those things. So another thing is, utilize all of the other resources that you can find as well. But you don't have to overwhelm yourself. Start with structured guides. See what are the things that work out for you. Take it one step at a time. And of course, there's a lot of content when it comes to the French language in itself. Pick and choose wisely what works for you best, and I'm sure you'll be able to navigate through that. But trust me, there are materials out there. You just have to figure out a way on how you have to approach this. Now that we have busted those myths, let's deep dive into the bonus tips that I promised at the start of the video for the TEF exam. Okay, let's quickly go through it. Listening, Pick a show on Netflix or YouTube and start watching at least one episode or sometime every single day. Even if you don't catch everything, that's okay. Just immersing yourself to the sound of the language at least helps you familiarize in a subconscious way. Next is reading. Start with short, simple news articles or blogs. Skim for like the main points and then go back and reread those details. And also another suggestion I give here for reading is do read something which has questions at the end of it, so that you know it's more directional reading. You're able to answer those questions using the paragraph that is given. Next is writing. Practice, 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 practice writing short essays. Write on topics like travel, daily routine, pick your favorite hobby. These are the things that you know you start off with and eventually go into more subjective topics, you know, things like, is education important for you, and what do you think about marriage, and a lot of topics like that. You will be able to find a lot of topics specific to TEF on the internet. If not, you can also reach out to me. I would be ready to help you out with all of that. Next, with speaking, pick a topic and talk to yourself in front of a mirror. I cannot tell you how important and how effective this is. Do that in front of a mirror or even record yourself and listen to it. Keep talking to yourself all throughout the day. You know, if you're just going on a walk, just say, okay, d'accord, je suis en train de marcher. Things like that. Just keep talking to yourself and exclaim random things in your mind and all of those things, so that, you know, French is constantly running in your mind. So there you have it, 5 myths busted and also some extra tips to help you succeed. Remember that TEF just isn't about how much you know, it's also about how well you use the resources and strategies that is available to you. And like I mentioned, I'm here to help you every step of the way, so you don't have to hesitate to reach out to me for personalized guidance as well. Like I said, I will leave the link in the description below and you can reach out to me. That's pretty much it for this video. I think we have reached the end of this video. Make sure to, you know, give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And also, if you have any specific questions, you can leave them in the comments below. And that's about it for this video. Good luck on your learning journey. I'll see you in the next one. A biento.